Alright, yeah, let's do another contest entry. As I mentioned in my last contest entry a little bit ago, I figured I'd do two today. This is for Chris Propfe's Musically Obsessed Nifty 650, where he's hitting 650 subscribers. And this one was fairly easy. I had to give a little thought to one of the latter questions. But anyway, let's get right into this. So, first he wants to see the first and last album in the collection. Now, I had to figure out the best way to do this because, like he said, even in this thing, it depends on how you organize them. As I showed in my room tour, I've got a section here. This is all mostly mainstream rock and metal. I've got a section over there, which is all Christian rock and metal. And then I got two sections over there. One shelf is all Christian pop and light rock. And then the other section is regular mainstream light rock, pop, like more of a classic rock. So this is really kind of hard rock and metal. That's hard rock and metal, and then all the but what I did to make it easier is I thought, well, I just go to each section and find out, you know, which one's first and which one's last, if they were to all be put together. And so that's what I've done. I picked them based alphabetically on which would be first and which would be last. So we end up with one from the mainstream and one from the Christian section, because mainstream wise we got Accept, and this is one I just recently showed because I just recently got it. Accept, I guess AC is the first, the earliest letter in my alphabet. Accept, metal band, of course. Predator being their more recent release. And Zion, not too long ago. This was reissued on vinyl too, so less than probably maybe a year old. So kind of fairly new releases, or at least fairly new in my collection too. So Zion, Thunder from the Mountain 2. All right, second question was a mostly blue album cover. Now this was kind of easy. I went to Discogs, pulled up, again, I'm trying to stick with just working with vinyl. Pulled up everything that was vinyl and just scanned, looking for the bluest cover I could get. I came up with two that were kind of equally as blue. One's a better shade of blue, but Thrasher, as you can see, is pretty much all blue. It's got a gradient that gets a little darker, but it's pretty much all blue. But the other one that caught my eye was Helix, was also pretty much all blue. Long Way to Heaven. And the blue tint on the bodies makes it even more blue. So there, you got two blue for you. All right, so here's the first. I have to add this back in, and I'm doing it kind of a cheating way. I didn't set up everything again because I totally just was pointed out to me in Chris's video. I totally missed one of the questions. So I am editing the video, taking it down, and this is a repost. You didn't miss much. The first one just didn't have this question in it, and it didn't have many views yet. So we're gonna fix this real quick. So the question was Led Zeppelin or Deep Purple. Now, I would have to say Deep Purple. First off, purple is a favorite color, and a deep purple is a much better color than the color of Led Zeppelin. Oh my goodness, how stupid can you get? Now anyway, I mean, I have to look at it from sheer volume of what I have over the years enjoyed more. I listen to Deep Purple much more. Of course, Deep Purple still are around, so they're kind of still more of a modern thing. There's still music to keep up on. I have all of the Led Zeppelin albums, basically, not on vinyl, but basically I have the 2 box sets that incorporate their entire catalog. But for Deep Purple, I've got most on CD, most all of their studio albums, and bunches and bunches of their officially released live albums. So their catalog is much more immense. I have much more of them in my collection. And while I know there's a big underground, bootleggy type Led Zeppelin stuff, there's a lot of collectors that get into a lot of that stuff. I never have. I like Led Zeppelin. I love their music. I just don't think that I'm as it's just Deep Purple, just my preference. Deep Purple. Now back to the regularly scheduled program. Show the speakers. All right. I'm going to insert the speakers. I don't even think I showed them in my room tour. So here's the speakers. All right. So I didn't think I showed this for the room tour. Over here on the records, we got, and wow, with the bright light, they're a little dirty. I've got basically a set of Bose speakers. I don't know the exact model number. There's a picture of my mother when she was really young. She's no longer with us. I don't want to pull them down to see the exact model number, but they are nice and compact, and they sound really well. And that screen is pretty dirty on the front there. All right, there. So, and then the next question is to two albums on my want list. Oh my goodness, where do you begin? I have a Discogs want list, which numbers in the hundreds probably. And then I have an Amazon want list, wish list, mainly one. And that's what my kids and family members buy from, or what I buy from. I always sort them based on cost, and I'll start at the top, and the cheapest ones I may decide, this payday I can buy a cheap album, so I go to my top of my want list. Sometimes it's based upon what's my strongest want. Well, currently, I guess I was just kind of looking at some of the more ones I've got my eyes on for pulling the trigger on pretty quick. And actually, it's two Whitesnake releases. Slip of the Tongue came out on vinyl earlier this year. Was it earlier this year, last year? I don't know. It's been in the past months or so. They just came out with a remastered edition of that on vinyl. And a while back, I showed the Whitesnake album where they came out with a remastered version of Slide It In. And it's a 2-record set. And it's kind of cool because you've got one record of the UK version remastered, and then the other album is the US version, which is a different band and slightly different recording, also remastered. Well, if you bought the box set, there's actually a third mix. It's the 2019 remix. They actually went in and remixed it, had a modern guy remix it. And so there's a third edition, a total remix. That is now on vinyl, has been for a little bit, and I'm actually probably going to pull the trigger on that pretty quick because the price has dropped to where it's more reasonable. But those are two on my want list that are higher on my want list of wanting to get. So that's two. And then the last is a lesser known album by a well-known artist. Now, who determines what's well known? So I kind of had to look at what I had to work with that may be in that category. And this one, I ran across this one. I thought, this one I think fits the category. We're talking Lita Ford's Out for Blood. Now, this is the reissue. When she did become a little more well-known, they put it back out with this cover. It's still got the original background. I bought this album back when it first came out. She had left the Runaways and, a couple years later, put out her first solo album. Now, she had a video on MTV. All the time we saw that. And I don't know how well it did for her at that point. The second album came out a little more popular. It wasn't until around the third album or so where she really blew up with the Kiss Me Deadly and all of that. Kind of went more commercial. This is one of the ones that's a little more edgier, and the one after this, was a little in between, and then she kind of went a little more commercial. So a lot of people know her commercial stuff. They know all the huge videos and the huge hair and the big things that she did in the latter 80s there, where she was really popular, really on the airplay. This album is probably a little less known because it never really went major mainstream. The thing that really irked me is, and I should have looked it up, but there was a compilation DVD put out years ago, and it was touted right on the cover, it was right in the description as like the complete videography, all the videos by Lita Ford. And yet this video is not on there. Now, it's one thing to say, because sometimes it's a label thing. Well, that was on a different label, so we couldn't put those videos on it because that's owned by different labels. So we put everything owned by our label. Well, you don't label the DVD as being complete then. You can say all of the Sony Year videos, or whatever. So I just thought that used to irk me. I'd see them like, this is not all of her videos. You totally don't have the videos. And I think there's actually two from this album. One that never got as well played, but I have seen it on YouTube. Two, I think, videos that were made for this album that weren't on that compilation. So that makes me think it's even less known because the people who put out that didn't know. Anyway, that's all for the contest. And yeah, so we are entering in for that. And If you want to get in on it, hurry up. September 18th is the deadline. Anyway, thanks a lot. Later. Rock on.